Let me tell you what you are missing, Dr. Jones. While you were playing your pointless game, I was playing you. You're wondering if maybe you should have built yourself a life of meaning instead of ending up here, dead and forgotten in the sense of Africa.
Machine games, Lucasfilm games, and that guy.
Myths. History. Just different ways to interpret the past. Thousands of years of humanity's thoughts and beliefs, scattered and buried. Just waiting to be found.
You can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Watch me.
Cue the Wilhelm.
Throughout history, mankind has built sites of great spiritual significance. If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you get a perfectly aligned circle.
And a baguette.
I've had run-ins with these guys before. Trust me, it ain't a walk in the park.
Okay, then. Let's see if you can keep up.
What do you mean if I could keep up?
Who needs realism?
Patron of the fallen angels. Protector of the Chukulimani. The Great Circle.
All right, well, I think it's safe to say that I am looking forward to this. I happen to be a bit of an Indiana Jones fan. I know, real shocker. But concerning this trailer, we are immediately being introduced to our villain. And, well, he appears to be German. I don't know a whole lot about the character.
Dead and forgotten in the sense of Africa.
Now, I believe the game takes place in 1937, which puts it in between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. The Temple of Doom was 1935, which makes it somewhat of a prequel, although the movies were sort of based on old-fashioned serials, so I don't necessarily know that the timeline matters all that much, but it will be interesting to see what Indy was up to in 37 between those two iconic films.
Just waiting to be found.
Playing the role of Indiana Jones, or a young Harrison Ford, is Troy Baker. And, you know, I gotta say, I think he does a pretty good job.
It ain't a walk in the park.
Okay, then. Let's see if you can keep up.
What do you mean if I could keep up?
He nails a lot of that tone and inflection.
If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you get a perfectly aligned circle.
I've heard other guys do impressions of Harrison Ford, but it's usually limited to iconic one-liners, and it's a different story when you're asking somebody to do multiple lines, potentially paragraphs or hours of dialogue for an entire video game or a movie. That's quite a big ask and somewhat challenging, because you're not only focusing on delivering a believable acting performance, but now you're having to sound like another extremely iconic actor.
Watch me.
Gameplay-wise, I believe we're getting a mixture of first-person and third-person perspective play. From what I know, most everything is first person, so you're moving around, interacting with NPCs, puzzle solving, melee combat, gunplay. That's all first person, but it then swaps into a third person perspective for the platforming mechanics. Visually speaking, the game looks pretty good. I think I'd be nitpicking again if I was to complain about something here. The textures look fine, the models, a lot of the lighting is somewhat reminiscent of Steven Spielberg's style of lighting, especially this scene here where you can see how they light Indiana Jones's eyes. It very much reminds me of a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, during the reaction phase, I had pointed to my headphones, and that was because I had heard sounds that are reminiscent of those found within the original films. Those sounds, most of them, if not all of them, were created by Ben Burtt, who also created most of the sounds for the original Star Wars trilogy. So the lightsaber, the blasters, the engines, a lot of the ships and whatnot are from Ben Burtt and his collaborators or team. And so it's nice to see that Machine Games is in some ways paying homage to those original sounds. I love cinematic gameplay adventures, games that feel like movies that you're in control of. So something like Uncharted or Tomb Raider are prime examples. And if anything, those games were most likely inspired by Indiana Jones. So it will be nice to get a new indie title by a developer like Machine Games, since they seem to have a fairly decent track record with the Wolfenstein titles. There may be a few that were hit or miss, but overall I think they did a pretty good job with the ones that I played. And so yeah, I can't help but be a little excited. I think it's safe to say that you can expect a playthrough of this title on the channel.
You have any idea how old that was?
Starting to think this channel belongs in a museum.